These poets are amazing. Front row, amazing. $50 extra in your pocket, amazing. Finger snap, amazing. Discovering a cliche for the first time, amazing. These people are simply amazing.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube. I am Joanna Hoffman, and welcome to this week's edition of Poet Love. Now, before we get into this week's featured poet, this past week at Boston, there was the National Poetry Slam. And I, of Poet Love, would like to send congratulations out to Slam New Orleans, who took the title and are this year's champions of the National Poetry Slam. Congratulations to them, their poets, and every poet who performed on stage this year. I really wish I could have been there to see you maybe next year. But speaking of Nationals, let's talk about someone who is no stranger to the Nationals and to final stages. Joanna Hoffman. Joanna Hoffman is a poet from Brooklyn. She has represented New York on various slam teams, including with Louder Arts, New Eurekan, and Urbana. She's also represented them in the Individual World Poetry Slam and the Women of the World Poetry Slam. She is the author of the book Running for Trapdoors, and she's one of those poets that I've recently, I would say within the past year, have gotten into. I remember first came across Joanna via YouTube. Watching videos of the Urbana Slam team that she was on, and she just had a nice little presence to her. And hearing her work through the group pieces and her individually, I tried to go a little deeper. I still really haven't heard as much of Joanna as I would like to. Because, I mean, YouTube videos are the only interactions I've really had with her in her work. But every time I hear her, it's a nice little... The one thing I love about poetry, the one reason I still try to be extremely involved with this community and this art form in general, is because there are certain worlds I will never know. And Joanna definitely shows in great light a world for someone who is lesbian, for someone who is Jewish. And you really get that in her work. Pride, Hope were some of the first two that I heard. Refraction with Omar Holman. She's just a wonderful word. She has a great presence, and if you want true emotion and a story that, even though we hear a story so many times, it's still hard to contemplate what it would be like in that situation. And I think her poem Barcode, which she did as part of the Poetry Observed group, I would suggest you check out that video. It is just a wonderful poem. It is heart-wrenching poem about a Holocaust survivor. And like I said, we've grown up the world where we've heard the stories. People have visited the camps, the movies that have been made, the stories that have been told, but still, it's still hard. The fact that something like that happened. And there have been other poems about that, but I think Joanna's Barcode poem is one of the best that I've heard, if not the best. I wish I really had more to say, but being the fact that I haven't met Joanna and do have a very limit of the exposure to her poems that I've had, you would think to your, why would I put her in the box? Is because those poems that I have heard of hers are extraordinary, and Like I said, she's a poet. Like, even though I never met her, I understand. I don't want to say understand because I can never understand certain things about certain people's aspect. She is a poet who has great potential, and I think she's reaching that potential, at least in my eyes. Like that means anything, but you know, I look forward every time I see a new Joanna poem. I really wish I could get a copy of her book Running for Trapdoors, which I can't do financial reasons, but doesn't mean you can't. Her website that I would like to address you to will be in the credits like usual, where you can find copies of other Joanna poems with through various other publications that she's been printed in, and hopefully maybe one day I'll revisit Joanna like I keep planning to with certain other poets that I've done. And, but you can discover Joanna. You can support Joanna. Visit her website, read her work, watch her videos. And I think that's it. Let's go dig here back into the magic shoebox. Find out someone who's next week, who I may hopefully have a little bit more to say. And yes, I will. Until then, my name's Joe Atticus, reminding you to live long and prosper, keep your pens moving. I'll see you next week.